Welcome to Conversations with Dr. Skip Mason,
pastor, preacher, historian, author,
teacher, librarian, archivist, world traveler,
collector, family historian, avid reader, and creator of the popular Vanishing Black Atlanta Facebook page.
But a lot of folks who love history.
Most importantly,
he's our
dad who loves his family and who taught us the importance of our history and having important conversations.
Join him now for this episode of Conversations with Dr. Skip.
Well, hello, everybody. You all like my fancy little intro? Let me shout out to my good friend and brother, Mike Myers, who put that together for me. I appreciate him. He's been doing some of my graphic designs for me. Shout out to Marcus Brooks also, but he's trying to get his son ready for Georgia Tech. But they've been helping me along. Let me say good evening to you. Thank you for joining my Nightcap conversation. Now, you all should be in. I mean, when Derek comes out on the patio in the morning, you should be home. You've had a chance to go out and get some fried fish and to do whatever you need to do. Now, you should be home settled in right now. You should be sick of CNN and MSNBC and all of these newscasts. So I'm just coming to you this evening for an intimate conversation on a number of topics. I got some good news and I have some not so good news. My good friend and brother, phenomenal actor and singer and songwriter, the amazing Clifton Davis, was scheduled to be my guest tonight. But Clifton called me about an hour ago and he was not feeling well. In fact, he wasn't feeling well earlier, but he wanted to do it. But he just said he just could not and wanted to reschedule. And I do understand that. So don't go. Please don't go. Because I have the second best thing to Clifton Davis. And my special guest tonight is not a replacement. Let me be very clear, okay? He holds his own. Now he can't sing, but he certainly he can act, and we've seen him act out in many places, in City Hall, on his patio, and on the streets. Give him a microphone, and he will perform in the absolute best interest of the people. And so tonight. I'm so glad that my good brother answered my last minute call to join us, the one and only, the one who really should be the next mayor of Atlanta. Yeah, I said it. I'm putting it out there. The Honorable Derek Bozeman. This is when on the Mike Roberts show, they used to put on the little fake applause and you could hear the claps in the back. Right. In the background. Derek, how you doing, brother?
Reverend Dr. Skip, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Councilman. I know it's been a long day for you. And I'm always with you in the morning just to get a feel for the day and to see what's going on. And you bring it on. You bring it on every time. And so much has happened today. So much has happened in the last few weeks. But before we jump into a couple of things, first of all, I want us to just pause for a moment as we celebrate Breonna Taylor. Let me see if I can put this up for a second. I'm going to take us off for a minute. Today would have been Breonna's 27th birthday. And so throughout the world, those who are in the streets and those who are for justice are calling her name today. And we lift her up and we pray that justice is done so that, you know, those who did her and her boyfriend harm will pay for that. Derek, you are in the midst of all of this in a very unique way by virtue of your just being the voice for so many people, but you always keep your ear to the ground and tuned in to some things, many things that are going on, and I applaud you for that. Yesterday, I think you had on your show, maybe yesterday, a day before yesterday, the two students from Morehouse and Spelman,
Mhm.
and then today I stumbled across and saw you standing with Attorney Davis and Elizabeth Williams Omalami and James Woodall and others regarding this beautiful sister here, Amber Jackson. Uh, Councilman, would you tell us about what's going on with Amber and what happened, just for those who may not know?
Certainly, Skip, and you got to be a special friend because I'm old. I get sleepy this time of
Well,
night.
not only that, Derek, but I know it's Friday and you are already into your nightcap. Derek has his nightcap,
Oh, absolutely. I
and
tell.
trust me, folks, it's not a cup of tea. See, I have to drink tea on the air because I know I may
Right.
have some church members watching.
Yeah, I just rub it on my shoulder where the pain is. But let me say
Okay,
this. A couple of things, Skip. We share alma mater, and because you were there through much of it. I was a student activist. 21, 20-year-old. I was an activist.
yes,
And the one thing that I appreciated was that in this city, I had somebody like Arthur Langford Jr. as a mentor. And what did that mean? Before I took over the building at Morris Brown, and I was arrested off that campus about 5 times, I believe. I went to him and I asked him, "This is what I see happening.
right.
I don't believe it's right. I think I have to say something. The students are dependent on me to speak up and speak out. And I just wanted to know, would you support me?" He was
Hmm.
an alum of Morris Brown. And he said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I kind of told him, he said, "Look, what I will say to you, Derek, I won't let nothing happen to you. All right. Now, if you go to jail, you just go to jail. But you're
Right.
in the spirit of King and Abernathy and all of the people that I've taught you about and told you about, and he went to jail." And so I said, "Well, cool. If I go, you're not going, nothing going to say, look," he said, "What's the worst they could do to you?" He
Hmm.
said, "They could kill me." He said, "Well, we can take that one off the table. Now, if you're worried about going to jail, I don't want you to have any worries about that because we'll get you out.
Right.
But if you
Right.
feel like you have to fight against injustice, then don't let that be a reason." And so that gave me a new sense of boldness. I had
Wow.
the guy that I had the absolute respect for say, "If anything happened to you,
They got you.
because I got your back." And
Yeah.
that meant so much to me. Right. And so what I have done quietly and sometime out front, whenever there have been a student uh, uprising or student find themselves at crossroads with administration, I have gotten many young people out of jail. I've called solicitors. I've called mayors. I've done that kind of work that Arthur did for me. So
Right.
brings us to this young lady. Last Friday, in fact, it was a little bit about an hour be less than what it is now. Around about 8:30, 9 o'clock, my phone rings off the hook, and it's the mayor's office call. And for those who know, so that the record is very clear, I have no desire
Hmm.
ever to be the mayor here. I've served 8 years on city council. I've served my public service is a noble and high calling, but it's about like preaching. You're underpaid and underappreciated,
Listen,
and people
listen.
expect you to move mountains.
Move the
And
world.
and y'all preachers have to just let these people talk to you any kind of way. I cuss them out, and I just come home, cuss them out, and have me a drink of cognac, and the world is all good again. But y'all preachers, they don't
Woo.
pay you what 2%. Then they want to cuss you out like they own you. I've
That's
never
right.
been able to tolerate that. So,
That's
but to
right.
get to this young lady, they called and Skip. The reason I went down there to tell young people to go home is because I knew there's a certain spirit even in the Atlanta Police Department that says if we get a chance to brutalize people because we don't want to be out here, we're
Right.
angry about what we see and experience. And I knew that some of the backstories that were not going to get told was a lot of people had their human and civil rights violated.
That's right.
So Amber Jackson, this young, beautiful 24-year-old girl who happens to be dating in the fiance of Hosea Williams' grandson.
I heard that. Yes,
So this is Andre Williams, one of Hosea Williams' sons, his son.
his son
And so they hear about the protest, and guess what? They heard about it, like all other young people on IG.
on IG.
And
Yeah,
so the on IG they were telling the young people, we're going here, we're going there. So they're going down by CNN. And for whatever reason, I applaud the Atlanta Police Department for this. They did not crack down hard on the young people because they didn't know what they were looking at.
right,
But in
right.
them not cracking down, being more assertive, a lot of property was damaged, a lot of cars, about 20 cars burned up.
Oh my
Them young
goodness.
people did not go down there for that. But when it started, it created this euphoria. So they go from downtown CNN, from all that action. The next text message they get or IG message, we're headed to Lennox. So guess what they do? They
They go
jump
to
in the car
Linux.
and head to
They go to
Lennox.
Linux. Right, right.
So by the time they get to Lennox, they have already broken into the stores downtown, the uh, College Hall of Fame, and they've done some damage.
Yeah,
Get to Lennox, and by the time they get to Lennox, the police realize that they're headed to Lennox. The everybody, it's a police state. They get out by Lennox and get stuck in that area. Of course, they didn't come to loot when they got out there and saw what was happening. They like, we want out of here. So
yeah.
and her boyfriend, they try to get out of the Lennox parking lot. They done barricaded them in. She gets out innocently, moves a barricade so they can get out and go home.
Right.
In the process, a Atlanta police officer stops the car, tells them to get out, snatches them out, and they proceed. It's hard to watch. Let me
I
just say,
know.
and I've
I
seen.
finally watched it today, but and it just I was already messed up from the Buffalo shoving of that 75-year-old man
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
the brutality of I think maybe it was in Rochester, and then I saw that I had not seen that image yet,
So,
Derek, and was just astonished.
and
And
interesting enough,
appalled.
it appears on the AJC's website. The AJC had a photojournalist out there just shooting, and because they had so jostled them around that they wouldn't shoot it, and it's on the AJC's website. Looked at about 1 million people, and you see the police literally take this 130-pound girl, and he is literally just dragging her around like a rag doll.
Jesus.
Eventually picks her up and slams her on the ground. It cracks her clavicle in half, and she's screaming. And they detain her, even with a broken clavicle. They put her in handcuffs and let them sit there about 40 minutes before letting them go with only a ticket for so-called disorderly conduct. She goes home, and the next morning, the next day, she is in so much pain. She goes to the doctor, and they do a um, a scan of her clavicle and say, yeah, it
Mhm.
is broken. So again, she's 24, a dental hygienist, college graduate. Of course, just getting on the job good. Her insurance have not kicked in. And so, the orthopedic surgeon who has to do the surgery is saying it's going to be about $15,000 to do this surgery. And so, long story short, man, we're just trying to help this young lady. We have reached out to the mayor, just like the mayor reached out to me. I didn't, people who saw me down there with the mayor, I didn't reach out to them. They called me and asked
Right.
me, would you come
Right.
and just stand with me and say something to try to quell this crowd? And I did that because I love this city. And what I saw was not representative of who these young people are at their best. And now we're saying to the mayor and to police chief, this has to go answered because guess what? That officer is patrolling somewhere tonight because he's not been disciplined. And as far as we know, he's not been pulled off the streets. And so, what we found out about the officers, even with the ones who had done this to the Morehouse College student, we found out today that one of them officers had all kind of excessive force issues. In
I
fact,
I
one
saw
of
that on
them,
I saw that on your page today.
man, this dude participated in the shooting of a young man 76 times, one of the most horrific killings of a young brother that you've ever. They shot the entire apartment up with him in it, and this officer was a part of it. That microaggression that is in these officers,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it comes out, and it's not healthy. But these officers don't get any help. They don't get any psychological, any other help. They just send them back out on the street,
Back out on the street. Yeah.
and the result is they are beating the hell out of people, violating their human and civil rights. And so with this young lady, we're gonna do everything we can. She's got to raise the money in order to get the surgery. And so our goal is, I'm calling on all of my friends and church folks. Interesting enough, tonight, before I got off on the phone with you, Pastor Richard Wills, your
Yeah.
neighbor over at
My
Friendship,
neighbor
called
friendship. Yeah.
and asked what could he do, and it's just good to hear his voice saying,
He,
"Look,
he's,
man, I've
he's
been
he's
watching this.
good people.
What can
Good
I do?"
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Well,
we're
there
out here.
we're going to. I'm going to donate. I'm going to put it on my page as soon as we finish, and asking all of my wonderful and faithful followers of Vanishing Black Atlanta to take a moment and go to the GoFundMe link and contribute whatever amount you can. I saw that the passionate. Not so much plea, but I heard Elizabeth today, and I could feel the angst,
Uh-huh.
in her spirit. One of our gallant sheroes in this city, and this young lady is very close to her, obviously, as you have mentioned, and so we have to do what we have to do to try to support her. I also heard, and I reached out to James Woodall, our president of the Georgia NAACP, who was there today. But I heard somebody ask or demand the resignation of the police chief, and so. Where are we with that? What is going on with uh, Chief Shields and all of this. What
Let
do
me
you
say
know?
this: I joined with Brother Woodall.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, the buck stops somewhere, right?
Right, right.
And in the city, the buck really stops on the mayor's desk.
Yeah,
And the bottom line is what we saw this week and what I have been complaining about. Now, remember now, last Tuesday, I am out on the corner of MLK King and Westlake
that's right. With
in a
the young
driving
man.
rain,
Yeah,
selling water in defiance of the police order to just round up black boys because they're selling water. And that had gotten to be just awful. That was a edict coming from a city council person down to the police chief.
yeah.
And at some point, you got to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's see if we can get some voices who love these young brothers,
That's right.
round them up. If they're doing something wrong, let's figure out how we can deal with the issue and not just arrest these black boys.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what I look for in a police chief,
Yeah.
real community policing. When the DA announced that he was uh, ordering these officers arrested, her first reaction, well, I didn't want it to go that far. Well, where the hell did you want it to go? I mean, you see some of the worst civil rights violation of these young people who are traumatized. See, Skip, one of the things that we don't realize, this is one of the things I was talking to Dr. Wills about,
Mm-hmm.
is the trauma that happens after the incident.
That's right. That's
You
right.
keep living that over and
Over and
over
over.
again. And I can tell you from one who experienced trauma. Now, a couple of years ago, I fell through a glass table here in my home, tripped over a pair of shoes, right?
Mm.
I didn't think that that bothered me. But to this day, when I walk in my living room, I'm telling you how trauma works.
Yeah.
The table is still sitting in the corner, but the glass is not on it.
Not on it.
So I kept saying to my folks, I'm going to put another piece of glass on it because that was a fluke.
Yeah.
Every time I mention that, my family go crazy. No, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so the trauma that other people experience is real. So these young people are traumatized. I'm saying you don't get to be chief in of Atlanta when you don't have command of your police department and they continue to violate the human and civil rights of just ordinary citizens. Because it doesn't matter if it's me or if it's you, that all those officers didn't know these young people, but they beat them and they treated them as if they was trash. And we can't walk around in this city. See, Atlanta problem is we perpetrate like we're a progressive city. We
Right,
have the largest income inequality here.
right.
We have gentrification running uncontrolled. We have developers who are saying they're building a city for other people other than the black folks who live here. We have the whole west side that has been bought up and redeveloped. We have ML King been turned into a one way. So your
That's
folk can't even get in your church.
we
I
can't
mean, we
hardly
got
have a funeral at the church.
all of this is happening and we're saying it's too much. It is way too much. Either do your job or you don't get to keep doing your job.
Right, right.
And so I join them in saying it is time for her to go ultimately. Because I'm not interested in the niceties that you get out here and walk in the march. I'm Are you willing to
Results.
call
Yeah.
these officers off? Because what we are seeing now, these are not the only cases. People are coming forth left and right with stories just like the one of Amber. They broke this girl's collarbone and now saying no harm, no foul. You don't get to do that in the city of Atlanta without that being some repercussion. And we call Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms to task. This is that's your police chief. She could
That's
call
right.
in tomorrow and fire. She could call in tomorrow and fire her for
That's right.
cause or without cause. We're saying, look, it's time for us to do something better here because this is just unfair and it's not right. And
We
these are not the first. I mean, we've had a number of people killed.
yeah.
Alexia Christian shot down in the police car. Say she had a gun after searching her. Jimmy Etchison murdered by an Atlanta police officer. One of the officers, Sauls, who's in this article, he was a part of that. Boys cowered down in a closet. They got a fugitive task force looking for him unarmed. Just all of these things. We can go back as far as Neil Street. There's a
Yeah.
lot that's wrong with this police department and the way we police people in the city.
And the ugly cover has just come to the light, and so much has been shared. So Derek, you are involved in a number of great causes and quite the extraordinary teacher. I think I read somewhere that tomorrow you are providing training and instruction. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on tomorrow with you?
Um, One of the groups that I'm privileged to be a founder of is Let Us Make Man,
Right,
a organization of just black men who decided that we got something more to offer than just sitting here and watch it go down. And so we have college professors in that group, we have preachers, we have Muslims. So tomorrow, what we decided to do, me, attorney Molly Davis, another one of the founders, Dr. Gary White, a college
right.
professor over at
Shout out
CAU.
to Gary. Gary is watching. He sent a couple of texts. So Gary, we see you. Glad to have you. And Pastor Antonio Grissom. Let me just shout out to those two while I
They're
can remember
two
it.
great guys, two great
Absolutely.
guys. Pastor Grissom, we're so proud of that brother. And but we just said, look, I'm a community organizer.
Yeah.
That's what I teach. That's what I do. I happen to do radio on the side, but I'm an organizer. And so
Right.
part of what we want to make sure we do tomorrow 11:30 on Zoom, we'll put up the Zoom link. But if you go to my Facebook page, which is my name, you'll find a link up there, and I'll put it at the top of the page.
Okay.
We're going to teach some principles of organizing. And what the main thing we're hearing from these adults is asking, what can we do? The
Right.
main thing I'm saying, get out of these young folks' way. They got it. But
Yeah.
how can we be of support to them?
Right.
What do they need from us? And we're going to be telling you what you can do to be supportive. What I will be doing with the segment that I'll be teaching in is basically telling you some community organizing principles. When should you join a coalition? Why you organize? Why you need to have specific targets? How do you move from the stage that we're in now, which is basically the pressure stage, to the negotiation stage, to the winning stage? And so we teach about direct action organizing, which is confrontational, is exactly what we're seeing now. But at some point, the young people, City Hall is now listening. Now
Okay.
that you have them listening, what do you want from them? And we're
Right.
going to tell you how to negotiate for what you want and who to send in there, because they're going to try to derail this. They got to. It's too powerful. It's way too powerful of a movement. They got to try to derail it. And we're going to teach these young people and these adults what to look out for when they come and try to do that.
So where do we go from here, Derek? There have been just for the last 10 days marches throughout the city. There were several yesterday. I know that Councilman Antonio Brown
Mhm.
and Commissioner Nathalie Hall and others were a part of a demonstration. You have a couple coming up. You have one tomorrow. Let me put this up. I think you've seen that one. Uh,
Right.
on tomorrow, and then you have one on Sunday. This is the Millennials of Faith Against Anti-Blackness Peaceful Protest Rally. It's going to start at Bethel tomorrow at 11 a.m. And then you also have on Sunday morning preachers for the people from the pulpit to the street Sunday, June 7th. They meet up at 10 and they march at 11. So now these must be preachers who don't have to preach on Sunday morning and serve communion. Because look, I got to preach the word Sunday, and I got to make sure that my members get their communion. But I'm just saying I'm glad to see all of
Mhm.
this energy. You know better than anybody how long will this last, and where do we go from here? What's next? Because after a while the marching is going to fade away.
Certainly. Well,
Yeah.
here's a good thing about it. It is cathartic. You got to realize a couple of things, Skip. I have been. Most of us have been in the house now for 2 months. Even I have been doing my radio show from home. This is very different for me. A man who's used to going to this meeting, to that meeting, and y'all would have had 10 different church meetings, but guess what? Nobody's coming to that. We're all
That's
home.
right.
So
That's
we
right.
got this pent up energy and anxiety running at the same time.
Yeah.
So there are 2 or 3 other marches tomorrow that you miss. And so it's good that we are marching. But
Sure.
let me tell you this, uh, policy, politics is about public policy.
Right.
So at the end of the marching, we got to get better policy. And so
Okay.
it's good to see Councilman Brown out, because guess what? Councilman Brown is one of 15 members of City Council who can go in on Monday and introduce legislation.
Yes.
When
Yes.
Dr. King then was in the street, ultimately, Lyndon Baines Johnson told them, if you want a civil rights bill, go out in the streets of America and make me do it.
Right.
And so, in other words, go create the atmosphere out of which a new policy can come forth. And
That's
so,
right.
what Antonio Brown and Commissioner Hall and the mayor can do, they can put a halt to certain aspects of policing, of bad policing next week.
Mm.
We have a number of issues. We have a civilian review board that was set up after Katherine Johnson was murdered, because we said that needs to be a police group that need to oversee the police. That needs to be a citizen group that oversee the police. We put
Right.
it up, we set it up, didn't put any funding in it. We hired an executive director. We did not give it any power. The mayor did not insist that the police chief make these officers come to the board. If they did not come to the board, that they were terminated or fired. And so you got to put in, because they said the mayor and them are so scared of the police union, then they won't put the kind of real teeth into that organization. Why? What are you afraid of having the citizens to oversee the action of the police and make recommendations on discipline? Well, guess what happens now? The police say we simply not going, and the
Mm.
and the chief said, well, we can't make them go. So you got a organization that's a paper tiger. They could
Right.
change that next week. We have officers who say they turn off their body cams. You know, you're in pursuit of a suspect and your camera is manipulated, you turn it off. Hell, you turn your camera off, you get fired.
You get fired. That's
I
right.
mean, there are some reforms that we can put in next week because they're the legislative branch, and I think that those are some of the things. I think after the march is over, but let me say this, Skip, because one of the things we don't really do
What is
is we
that?
don't celebrate our victories.
Right.
Ferguson this week elected his first black mayor, who happens to be a
Yes,
sister. Now, if Mike Brown blood had not been shed in Ferguson,
that's right.
even with 67% black population now, they've had a white mayor all these years because we never knew what real political power was,
Oh, that's right.
right?
That's
And
right.
so we have to go back and tell people that brother died so that this sister could get elected,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
And that we have a new chief, a new she'll be able, there's real reform that comes after this revolution, and there has to be real reform that comes after all of what we're seeing here in these cities that are going up in smoke. And so I'm hopeful because the other thing I'm seeing, frankly, that I have not seen is black and white. There's some real white folks out here who are saying now Black Lives Matter and they mean it. In spite of all the chaos that we see a couple of our young white brothers and sisters making, the vast majority of them are out there. Great hospital, hundreds of doctors standing out there today.
yes, yes. I saw
Unheard
that.
of. When have you ever seen? Look how beautiful that picture is,
What
right?
an incredible picture that was, Derek. My,
Unbelievable. These are doctors who say we are sick of black oppression here. And so
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm more hopeful than I've been in my generation as to what's possible for what is happening in these streets.
And lastly, I'm not going to hold you. I appreciate you being here so much. So Roger Goodell decided today that the NFL owes an apology to those who wanted to demonstrate. And in his veiled apology, he failed to mention Colin Kaepernick. What's your thoughts on that, Derek?
Well, look, let me tell you this. The NFL is 32 billionaires. They are the 1%.
Right.
And they have decided. I could have told you, Colin Kaepernick, if all 32 quarterbacks' legs got broken in the first game, they still would not hire that brother
They would not have hired him.
because what people have to understand, what that brother became a symbol of something much bigger than himself.
Yes.
He became a resistant to their money, to their power. When that brother stood up and the world stood up with him, when little white girls on soccer fields starts taking the knee, they said, it's like the Malcolm X movie. That's too much power for
Hmm.
one N word to have.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
when they saw that this man he had done that many times, an
Right.
entire movement. Now, what Roger Goodell is doing is giving cover to cowards like Drew Brees,
Right. There you go.
who have made just such intolerant statements about what his granddaddy got out of the military and he fought for the flag. Well, hell, my granddaddy was in there too, and he when he came back from World War II, he didn't enjoy none of the freedoms that they were over there fighting
That's right.
the
Mine too.
Normandy for.
M-
So
m-
man, when them black football players went up one side of that dude and down the next, and
right.
then come Jake Fromm gonna come out here and try to say, man, these brothers, look, Skip, I'm gonna tell everybody just a little advice on Vanishing Land. If you are white in America now, this is not the time to be
That's right.
playing with black folks because we tired. We are
I,
now. I'm giving all your white listeners. This is not the time to be playing. Black athletes are tired. Black nurses are tired. Black preachers are tired.
that's
They are
right.
not listening and hearing this foolishness that these people trying to push. It's not
That's
the
right.
time to be playing with us.
You are right, Derek. Somebody posted a meme, posted some said, "Look, don't bother any black person today because we are all tired."
Well,
But the last thing, and this is what I call a gangster move right here. Did you see this
no,
today?
Absolutely. I woke up to that and I was tickled to death. The mayor of DC got that. That's as close as Pennsylvania Avenue as you can get.
I mean,
Yeah,
walking right to the Capitol,
yeah,
to the White House, and
right.
past the church where the photo op was, and all of that kind of good stuff. Um, I tell you, that was something else. But
Brother,
these were some.
we're,
Yeah, go ahead, Derek.
we're just simply saying, look, man, we're going toward freedom.
Yeah,
We don't care what the cost. We're pushing it
yeah,
all in.
I
That's what
agree.
these young people are saying. It This does not feel like anything else I've experienced in my 54 years.
Yeah,
It feels different, and something has to give here.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that was against the move.
And Atlanta can no longer hide behind a veiled mask of the city too busy to hate and all of those other mantras, because the ugliness is being revealed in living time, and in living color. And so I'm just hoping that those uh, victims will get justice, and that our police department will be reformed, that our politicians, our elected officials, after they finish marching, will take to policy and making those rules and those decisions that they can do, that only they can do right now,
Hmm.
and that all of us would do our part. As I say all the time, that everybody can't march. Okay. You need your prayer warriors, you need your foot soldiers, you need your check writers. For instance, those that will write and help Amber Jackson's medical funds.
Hmm.
You need everybody in the melting pot to make it work.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, Skip. Those of us who love this city, in spite of political differences, look, if the mayor is sincere and asks me to do anything that will
Hmm.
move us closer to our freedom, I am absolutely willing to do it.
Yeah.
Let me also tell you on Amber, we made it easy because GoFundMe, you have to sometimes search for it. If you go to help Amber,
Okay.
AMBER.com, that's an
Okay.
easier way, and it redirects you to the GoFundMe page because you have to search on GoFundMe. But if you go to help, HELP, Amber, AMBER.com, it'll take you directly to
Directly
that
to it.
page.
And
Yep.
I have it running in the stream. I've also posted it on the page as well. So, Vanishing Black Atlanta members, I need you to do two things. I need you to make a contribution of whatever amount you can to help. I need you to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. And we need to continue to be vigilant. I mean, I will say, there, these folks on my page are off the chain. Last 2 weeks, I've had to mediate and break up fights on the page. They're just so passionate,
Right.
about what's going on right now. And
I
I'm trying to
love
say,
it. I love it. It's just like, look, vanishing Black Atlanta is family, because I'm
it
looking
is
at
all
a lot
fun.
of time I treat it like a peep show. I had to come there and look at it. I don't say nothing. But here's what you have to do. As I would say about the Bozeman boys and girls, now we fight like hell with each other,
Yeah,
but nobody else better not come in here and try to fight with
that's
us.
right.
And
You
so,
know,
as a vanishing Black and line Skip, let me just say this, man. And I tell you all the time, you are an invalued you're just a valuable treasure. What you've
wow.
been able to create with this page and now with this platform, where candidates from all across the spectrum come because they know the audience that you command. You're
Yeah,
serious scholars, serious theologian, and serious about this city, and we need you. I am just so glad you back home where you
yeah.
belong.
Thank you.
But the work that you're doing, man, is helping a lot of us understand our history. Because without it, we will not know. We don't know what happened before. We don't know what the future possibly could hold for us. So keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm a big fan
I,
and big
I, I
supporter.
appreciate you, dear. You know that, and what a fitting way, because I had planned to close with just a few images of our past. These young warriors, who
Yeah.
took the streets in their time in the '60s. and we always talk about many of the young people say they don't want to hear from Andy, and they don't want to hear from many of the soldiers and all, but there were young people in the movement, and fighting, for our rights, during that era and during that time. And now it's this next turn generation. But the continuity is that you got to respect the work of what others have done. You can't just totally discount it. You got to respect it and honor it, but take your passion and your fuel, and move forward. And let's do some things for our people. But America's on fire right now, and we got to all do what we do from whatever mic or pulpit or wherever we stand. We got to make it work. I so appreciate you being here and answering my last question. The next Ruth Chris steak dinner is on me. We always go back and forth. The last one was on you,
Right.
now it's on me.
Look, Skip, the only thing I was hoping that they didn't burn and loot was the roof crit. Because if they got out there and burned the roof crit down, I'd have to jump out there with the police.
We need to check on that though, for real though. We need to make sure. But
I
otherwise,
be telling my grandma, tell them now something got to be did about all this now. Something got to be did about it.
I'm telling you, something got to be did. Listen, Derek, I appreciate you, brother. God bless you, and
Bless you
I'll
too.
see you Thursday because
All
you're
right,
doing the workshop for Voorhees College
man,
and
we're excited about it.
Black Male
Excited.
Initiative, and we are truly
Yeah.
looking forward to you.
All right.
Before you go, Derek, because I'm about to close, my sweet daughter is on FaceTime, and
Hey, Joel.
Derek says, "Hey, Jewel." Oh yeah, you have to speak, baby. You can't wave. Okay, it's
I heard it. I
You
heard
heard
it.
it. You heard
Tell
him.
her I love the intro. Her and Jadari's, I love their intro
Oh
to
yeah,
to
he said he
your
loved the
whole piece.
intro. Yeah, that was nice. So listen, Clifton was not able to be here, as I told
Hmm.
somebody, as I told you all, and somebody made a comment. They said, "Dog, I like Skip, but darn, I was looking forward to seeing Clifton." Well, Clifton will be back. Okay, and part of what I want to do is to bring some friends of mine to just have a conversation in the evening that we can chat and look at different perspectives and look at their lives. And so I'm just excited that Bernadette Stanis is going to be with me on Monday, this coming
Yeah,
Monday, my first
definitely.
crush. And she's going to share with us on Monday. And then our good brother and friend who just got married to Judge Faith, the awesome Kenny Lattimore, is going to be my guest. Let me
Wow.
put Kenny's picture up on Wednesday. He's going to be our guest, and he's going to talk about his amazing career and things that are going on, because what we want to do is to get other folks' perspective from where they are. People were complaining, let me just say this, yesterday, because Reverend Al, and Attorney Crump recognized the celebrities in the audit. You would be amazed at the comments on the
I
page
saw
yesterday.
that. Yeah, I saw that.
And what was that about, and why were celebrities there? And people got to understand that before they're celebrities, they're human beings, they're people, they're concerned, and maybe they can use their celebrity. I mean, of course, the mayor called on. Look, that was a heavy hitting group last week. The Killer
Mhm.
Mike,
Yeah.
Ti, Bernice, and the Honorable. They're both. And I did get tickled watching you stand up there. I said.
My phone rung all night long.
I said, well, isn't this wonderful?
I know, right? I know. My phone rung all night long, but
But it said a lot,
yeah.
because no matter, and you are always fan honest with our mayor Keisha, and
Mhm.
I believe she respects you, and she knows your influence, and she knows that you are a strong voice in this community. And so I was glad to see you, really
Yeah.
see you standing up there with them.
I
Yeah,
have a lot of respect for Keisha. I think she loves the city. And I think we're the sum total of our experiences. And
we are.
so,
Yeah,
our experiences may be a little bit different, but at the
yeah,
end of the day, there's no doubt in my mind that I believe that that sister cares deeply for for this
absolutely,
city,
without a
and
doubt.
so do I. And we just see that I care for it from the grassroots up,
Right.
and so that's my perspective. Always going to be from what my grandmama taught me. So that's
Absolutely. Well, Derek, thank you so much. And my friends, this ends our Nightcap conversation. Support Amber Jackson. Go to the Vanishing Black Atlanta page. You'll see the link. Or you can go to the GoFundMe page and search for Amber Jackson or Derek Bozeman's page. And let's try to support and help her so she can get the surgery that she needs. This is Skip Mason with my special guest this evening, the Honorable Councilman, I still call him Councilman, Derek Bozeman. And we are signing out. We thank you so much for being with us. Have a blessed evening. Be safe and keep the faith. And may God bless you and may God keep you.